Good morning and welcome to the grand unveiling. Have you launched into the great emerge yet? It feels a bit like those pictures you see of bears emerging from the great hibernation of winter and looking a bit confused by the world beyond their cave. Well, I'm feeling a bit that way myself and not quite sure that I don't want to turn around and get another 40 winks. For months and months, we've complained about the constraints, and now we're worried that they are disappearing. We just aren't sure that the world outside is all that safe or welcoming. For 2 years, we've obsessed over protecting ourselves and those we love and have accepted the lockdowns and the maskings and the distancing mandated by the health professionals and the politicians, those in the know. But now we have so much more freedom to decide those things on our own. And isn't that a bit scary? It was so easy to say, sorry, we can't get together, only 5 allowed indoors. We'll do birthdays later. Or, I can't make it, I'm getting my second shot on Thursday. Or, mother's high risk, so we're just staying in our bubble. We politely closed our homes to the usual friends and families to protect them and ourselves. We stopped visiting the local shops, even if they were open, to avoid unnecessary contact. We had the restaurant send out dinners by Uber, and our groceries came by home deliveries. We discovered how we could get almost anything delivered online, and we mastered banking and bill payments there as well. And wasn't it strange to reach in a pocket and discover no money there? Stores only wanted our credit cards and touchless transactions. Only the panhandlers with their empty coffee cups still seem happy to get coins. And we adapted. We adapted so well that the new options, which is the old way of doing things, now seem alien and rather dangerous. We talk about things returning to normal, but what is normal these days? A friend who returned to her office said that it seemed like entering a time capsule. A half pack of cigarettes in the drawer, but she stopped smoking a year into the pandemic. A 2-year-old calendar on the wall, and our date book, meetings long ago defaulted. But the sweater thought lost was actually still hanging long abandoned on the back of her desk chair. It didn't take long to get back into the swing of things. The computer still responded to the password. The lunchroom fridge had been cleaned out, thank heavens, so there were no unpleasant smells to record the unused months. It looks the same, but not all the desks are occupied. Few of the faces are unmasked, and the elevator still has 4 people in the 4 corners and others waiting for the next car. And yet, people are talking about their relief at no longer having to wear their masks or distance themselves or be denied entry by numbers and vaccinations. So how do we put all these different pieces together and move forward? Are we facing a problem or an opportunity? Oddly, it was easier when we were told what to do or not do than it is today. Just as when one is a child, parents set the rules, and while there's a certain joy in breaking them, for the large part they are observed. So too with the past 2 years. Told what to do, we did it, mostly, generally, and when we didn't, we felt a certain delicious guilt and then went back to the masks and the trenches. Now we get to decide, and that is the challenge of freedom. Freedom to do or not do, freedom to comply with those around us, or to be the one who stands out against the crowd. The freedom to choose can come with the price of unpopularity, when your choices offend others, whether by wearing or not wearing a mask, depending on the crowd. Now, with the freedom to decide what is best for our children, our parents, and ourselves, the challenge: do we have the right to impose on others what makes us most comfortable? Do we get to demand a section be set aside in the restaurant where only the masked are seated? Do we return to our car for the forgotten mask before entering the store as we have done for months? Or do we smile at the freedom of not having to wear a mask and jauntily enter despite the glances of annoyance from other patrons? Do we encourage our children to protest not having to wear masks at school, or just tell them to do what feels right for them, wear or not wear? One of my granddaughters assured me that at her school everyone was wearing masks in class. But once in the hall, masks were off until the next class began, because the teachers apparently weren't comfortable with the unmasked. Children are good at picking up on the hints and needs of adults. So, are we protecting them, or are they protecting us from our fears? And where do fears and realities clash, and what triumphs? We have longed to return to normal, but what is that now? Because nothing stays static for 2 years. We change. Our priorities change. Our relationships change. Our work habits change. Do we return to what was, or to what can be better? Will we be opening doors to opportunities and possibilities based on what we have learned, or will we concentrate on recreating what was? When we first returned to the reopened church, I did not notice for 2 weeks that the artificial Christmas poinsettias still decorated the altar cross, and Lent was fast approaching. My world was definitely off kilter in tiny ways, but for many who worked at home for 2 years, establishing new ways of doing things, from childcare to work clothes to signing in and out times and limited supervision, the changes have been mammoth. To return to what was will be an enormous step. Whether desired or deleterious is yet to be discovered. Strange how the fear of the unknown is to be found in the familiar, in the places that we knew so very well, but abandoned for 2 years. And therein lie the new fears of the unknown. We now have the opportunity to move forward into broad sunlit uplands, as Churchill once promised, seeking the level of freedom with which we are comfortable, and seeking a new and better balance of work and family, home and office, school and sports fields. There's a great opportunity before us if we only take the time and patience to work things through and to balance our needs and fears with those of others. First and foremost, we need to respect the rights of others to choose, while not ignoring our own. But we must never confuse fear with good sense. Evaluating what we are doing and why we are doing it, and then moving on forward with faces bared or covered as our needs and those of our families demand. Lent has given us the time to get to know ourselves and our relationships with others and God better. Use that knowledge as you emerge from your hibernation. For myself, I am looking forward to seeing people's faces again and not strips of fabric. The other day I pulled out a mask to put on to enter a store and was delighted to be greeted by these words. You don't have to wear that, but you can. It's your choice. Yes, it is our choice. Let's make sure we respect the choices of others as we respect our own. For that's the Christian way to go. Loving your neighbor as you would want to be loved, which means respect and compassion. Go forth into the world and discover all that was lost and create a new normal that is the very best of all that we have and can be. So may it be. Amen. The one thing we really have to concentrate on is giving others the same rights we want for ourselves, to choose to do or not to do. Let's work on that instead of trying to impose our whims on others over the coming weeks. But as a dutiful minister, I'll be wearing my mask at church until the end of April. Bishop's ruling outranks the premier.